Hey everyone, my name is Sophie from Sophisticated Organization. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. This is absolutely crazy, but this is the last 2 weeks of the 6-month Sophisticated Declutter. You guys have made it so far. If you're sticking with me, we're on weeks 25 and weeks 26. And after this, you are done. You've made it through the entire 6-month declutter. I hope that you're feeling much better in your fully decluttered, clean space. And I wanted to give you a little bit of a rundown of weeks 25 and weeks 26, just as I've done through this entire process. So with week 25, there are 2 separate parts. The first part is going to be craft and hobby supplies, and the second part is going to be all of your kids' toys. Now let's start with the crafts and hobbies and those types of supplies. If you've followed me for a while, I'm sure you know, or at least have an inkling, that I love crafts. I love getting crafty and have lots of different hobbies. So this is a pretty big category for me. I don't have kids yet, so we don't have kids' toys to deal with at this point. I am just going to focus on my hobby and craft supplies, and that's what I'm going to be decluttering on Instagram. If you don't follow me yet there and you want to follow along with me as I declutter some of my items, make sure to follow me over there. But I'm also listing on the screen here some questions that you should think through as you're going through your hobby and craft supplies. Crafts and hobbies are tough because a lot of times we have unrealistic expectations of what we use and what we want to use. So a lot of times we'll buy supplies thinking that we want to try candle making, for example, and then we never make those candles. You just want to make sure they're things that you truly use, and if they're a hobby of yours, is it really a hobby and something that you enjoy doing, or is it aspirational and you hope or want to do one of those things? So think through the questions and ask yourself each and every one of those questions as you go through the items and you're decluttering. Another great thing about getting rid of those craft supplies and hobby supplies that you're not using is it's going to give you space, but also the time to do the things that you actually love. So don't clutter your mind with, if you have a free weekend and you want to do a craft or you want to work on one of your hobbies, that there are all these other things kind of pulling on your heart and mind, but you can actually free up that space and time to focus on what you love. Week 25, we still have kids' toys to declutter. And I don't know how many kids you have, if you have kids at all. If you don't have kids, you can skip this part of week 25 and just focus on crafts and hobbies. If you have multiple kids, you got a lot of work to do, but I would encourage you to get your kids as involved as possible. This, of course, depends on their age and how able they are to help you. But even young kids, you can start by explaining to them that, you know, you want to be able to let other kids enjoy some of these toys. They've had some time to love on them and play with them. And since they're not using some of these things, you want other kids to be able to have the chance to play with them as well. So you can hold the items up for the kids and say yes and no, and have them help you make different piles. If they're more independent, they can do some more of this on their own. But if you're kind of the one taking the lead, or if you have an older child, I'm gonna leave more questions that you can ask yourself, or an older child can ask themselves as they're going through these toys and decluttering themselves, or you're decluttering with them. If you're not ready to declutter toys and really get rid of them, and you want your child to be able to enjoy the things that they have and not be overwhelmed by the stress of clutter, I would consider doing a toy rotation. And if you haven't heard of a toy rotation before, it's basically just kind of limiting that pile of toys that your child is able to play with and storing away the other toys. And once they start to kind of get bored of those items, you can pull either all of those items out and replace them with some that you've had in storage to kind of re-spark excitement with them, or just rotate, you know, one in, one out type of situation, whatever works best for you. It keeps things exciting, and then you don't necessarily have to get rid of everything. They also won't have that clutter and won't be overwhelmed, because the last thing you want is for your kids to be so overwhelmed that they don't even know what to play with. Week 26, the last week, we're actually going to be leaving our homes and decluttering our cars. Decluttering your car should be a pretty simple task because there really isn't a ton of things you should store in your car. So it's just gonna be removing a lot of things and leaving only the essentials that are really things that you need to actually have in your car. I am going to put some things again on the screen here that are items you might want to consider leaving in your car. The goal here is to leave your car as clean as possible. And this is something that you're gonna have to maintain. It's really easy to bring more things in your car and not pull them out. But every time you leave your car, take all of those items out that don't belong in there. Please don't use it as another storage space. You can, again, with some of the things listed on the screen, leave, you know, a snow scraper in there, depending on the season. I even take mine out when it's the summer. You can leave an umbrella in there. Again, I take my umbrella out when it's the winter, so I even rotate those things out. I like to maybe have a chapstick or something in there, items that you would actually use in the car, but beyond that, every time I leave the car, I try and take every single item out with me. And if you finish with your car and get all the decluttering done, I say reward yourself, give your car a nice car wash, make it all squeaky clean, and then you should be done with everything. Like I said, week 26 is the end, so you're done. And if you're not done, if there was a certain week that you didn't finish, let's say you started a little bit late and you jumped in halfway through, please make sure you go through and hit those spaces that you didn't fully get to at the beginning of the sophisticated declutter, or in the middle if you kind of got busy. Hit up those last spaces, finish strong. I know you can do it. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Share this with your friends and family if this had some sort of an impact on your life or on your space and you're feeling better. They can always start this challenge from the very beginning, following along with the playlist in the series. They can also always go to my Instagram. Those highlight bubbles are saved with each individual space, so they can still see me decluttering and have the benefit of all of those tips and tricks no matter when they're following along. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It really means so much to me. And until next time, I will see you guys later.